My wife cheated on me with her millionaire boss and left me for money. But when I inherited $2 million, she came back pregnant, begging me to sign as father of a child that wasn't mine. And my response left everyone speechless. I'm 35 years old, I'm an oncologist, and the story I'm about to tell literally sounds like it's pulled from a bad Lifetime movie, but I swear every word is true. Basically, my ex-wife tried to manipulate me into signing as the father of a child that wasn't mine because I became a millionaire. And when I say it backfired on her, believe me, I'm understating it. But for you to understand the level of craziness I lived through, I have to start from the beginning, from when my whole world came crashing down. I met Samantha when I was 28, she was 25, at one of those mutual friends' parties that I normally didn't even like but went to because I was bored on a Saturday. She was pretty, I won't deny that, and she seemed smart, ambitious, had plans to open her own digital marketing business or something like that. We got married like 2 years later. All pretty fast looking back now. But at that moment I thought it was true love and all that shit. We had a decent life. I worked a ton at the hospital because being an oncologist isn't exactly a 9-to-5 job, and she eventually got a job at an advertising company or something related. I don't remember the exact position, but I know her boss was Theodore, a guy like 42 years old, owner of the company, with a lot of money and that kind of successful salesman personality that makes you uncomfortable. Nathan was born when I was 34, and honestly, I thought things were going well between Samantha and me, like we were first-time parents dealing with sleepless nights and diapers and all that. But I was happy, you know? I thought we had a future together. And then came the moment that basically changed everything. It was like 6 months after Nathan was born. I came home early one day because I had canceled a surgery, and I found Samantha crying in the living room with her laptop open. At first I thought something bad had happened, like someone died or something. But when I asked her what was wrong, she said, "We need to talk." And, you know when someone says that it's never anything good. I sat there expecting the worst, and she just let it all out at once. Told me she had been having an affair with Theodore for like 6 months, that she had fallen in love with him, that he offered her a better life, more financial stability because, according to her, I spent too much time at the hospital and didn't earn enough money for the lifestyle she wanted. She literally told me that I didn't earn enough, when I'm an oncologist and was making pretty good money, but apparently it wasn't enough compared to a guy who owned his own company and had like 3 properties. I sat there processing everything, feeling like someone had kicked me in the stomach, and all I could say was, "What about Nathan?" And she looked at me and said, "I'm going to ask for a divorce, but I want us to talk about it civilly for the child's sake." What followed was like 3 months of legal and emotional hell. I hired a lawyer, she hired another, and we started the whole divorce process. The thing is that Samantha made a huge mistake during all that time, and it was that she basically admitted the infidelity not only to me, but also in text messages and emails that my lawyer used in the process. Theodore had apparently promised her they would get married once she was divorced, and she was so sure of her new luxury future that she didn't even fight much for Nathan's custody. My lawyer argued that she had emotionally abandoned her family, that her priority was clearly her new relationship, and that I, as a father, had been present and was capable of providing a stable home for my son. The judge gave me full custody, she had supervised visits on weekends, and basically that was it. The divorce was finalized quickly because we didn't have many assets in common, just a house that we sold and split the profits, and she moved to an apartment that supposedly Theodore was paying for. Like 2 months after the divorce was finalized, Samantha announced on Facebook that she was pregnant. She posted a photo with Theodore, both of them smiling, her with her hand on her barely visible belly, and the caption said something like, "New family, new blessings," or some cheesy stuff like that. I saw it, and honestly felt nothing. Like I was already so emotionally disconnected from her that I didn't care. Nathan was with me. I was focused on being the best possible father while managing my career, and she could do whatever she wanted with her life. Several mutual friends sent me messages like, "Did you see she's pregnant?" And I just responded, "Yeah, good for her," and went on with my day. Now comes the part that changed absolutely everything. My uncle Victor, my mom's brother, was a guy who had basically made a fortune in real estate during the 80s and 90s. He never married, didn't have kids, and I was like his favorite nephew because when I was a kid, I spent a lot of time with him in the summers. Victor lived in another state, like about 3 hours from where I was, and we saw each other from time to time for dinner or at family gatherings, but we weren't super close in my adult life. He knew about my divorce. He had called me to give me moral support and tell me that Samantha was an idiot for leaving me. That kind of thing. In October of last year, like 4 months after my divorce, I received a call from a lawyer who told me that Victor had passed away from a heart attack and that I was the primary beneficiary of his will. At first, I thought that maybe he had left me like a few $1,000s or something sentimental, but when I went to the reading of the will, I found out that Victor had left me literally everything. His house valued at like $1.5 million, his investments that added up to another million or more, and his stake in a real estate company that managed commercial properties. The lawyer explained to me that the total value of the estate was over $2 million, possibly up to $3 million depending on how certain properties were sold. I sat there in total shock. I couldn't believe it, like my uncle had just made me a millionaire and I didn't even know he had that much money saved. Obviously, I wasn't posting this on social media or anything, but some family members knew, and eventually the news leaked through those circles of people who know people. Like 2 weeks passed, I was still processing all the legal paperwork of the inheritance when I received a text message from Samantha. It had been months since she wrote to me directly. Everything about Nathan we handled through a co-parenting app that the judge had ordered us to use. So seeing her message was weird. She wrote to me, "Hey, I know things have happened, but I'd like to talk to you about something important. Can I come over tomorrow?" I thought maybe it had to do with Nathan or with changing something in the custody agreement, so I told her yes. She arrived the next day at like 2 in the afternoon. Nathan was with my mom that day because it was one of my days off and I had to run errands. Samantha arrived in a new car. I think it was a BMW or something like that, definitely courtesy of Theodore. And she looked good, like dressed up, makeup on, expensive clothes, and her belly was already quite noticeable. She must have been like 5 or 6 months along. We went into the house. I offered her water. We sat in the living room, and I waited for her to tell me what she needed. She started with small talk, asking me how I was, how Nathan was, saying she missed him a lot, although she could see I was raising him. Well, that kind of subtle, emotional manipulation. I just nodded and waited for her to get to the point. After like 10 minutes of beating around the bush, she finally told me, "I heard your uncle passed away. I'm very sorry." And then she added, "I also heard he left you quite a bit of money." The way she said it, with that little smile, already gave me a bad feeling. I told her, "Yes, my uncle was very generous." And she nodded and said, "It must be a relief to have that financial security, especially raising Nathan alone." Then came the real reason for her visit. She leaned forward, put her hand on her belly, and told me, "I need to ask you a huge favor, James." I asked her what favor, and she took a deep breath and said, "I want your name to appear on my baby's birth certificate." I stared at her like she had grown a second head, literally didn't understand what she was asking me. I told her, "What? Why would I want to do that?" And she started with this story that Theodore was having doubts about being a father, that his family didn't approve of the relationship, that she needed financial security for her child, and that if my name was on the certificate, legally I would have to provide child support and the baby would have access to my health insurance and, oh surprise, to my new fortune. Basically, she was asking me to agree to be the legal father of a child that wasn't even mine so she could secure money from me. When she finished explaining her whole plan, she sat there looking at me like she had just proposed something completely reasonable, like she wasn't asking me to commit fraud and screw myself financially for the next 18 years. I laughed. I couldn't help it. I laughed in her face. I told her, "Are you completely crazy? Did you really think I was going to agree to this?" She immediately got defensive and started with, "I thought you would care about the welfare of an innocent child. I thought as a doctor you would have more compassion." All that kind of cheap emotional manipulation. I told her, "Samantha, that child is not my responsibility. It's yours and Theodore's. You two decided to have it. You two can raise it. I'm not going to sign anything that makes me legally responsible for a child that's not mine just because now it's convenient for you that I have money." She sat there, looking at me with a mix of anger and desperation, And then she tried to change tactics, told me, "Look, it doesn't have to be permanent. Just until Theodore and I get married and he formalizes paternity, it's just to pressure him a little." I told her, "Your answer is no, now get out of my house." She got up, told me I was selfish, that Nathan deserved a better father, all kinds of insults, and I opened the door for her and let her out. As soon as I closed the door, I stood there thinking about what the hell had just happened. The audacity of this woman to come ask me that, like she left me for a richer guy, emotionally destroyed me, fought against me for custody of our son, and now came to ask me to sign as the father of her baby, because apparently her millionaire boyfriend wasn't as reliable as she thought. I grabbed my laptop and wrote a long email to Theodore. I had never spoken directly to him. I only knew about him from what Samantha had told me and from what I had researched during the divorce, but I found his work email on his company's website, and I sent him everything. I explained exactly what Samantha had asked me. I told him word for word what she had said about him having doubts about being a father. I gave him dates and specific details of the conversation, and I told him I thought he deserved to know the type of person he was about to marry and have a child with. I copied my lawyer just in case and sent the email. I didn't get a response from Theodore, but like 2 days later I received like 15 calls from Samantha that I ignored all of them. Then she started sending me text messages telling me I had ruined her life, that Theodore had broken off the engagement, that he had kicked her out of his apartment, that now she had nowhere to live, that it was all my fault. I responded with only one message that said, "You played a stupid game and won a stupid prize. Don't contact me again except for things related to Nathan." And I blocked her. Apparently after that she had to move, back in with her parents, who lived in a small town like an hour away, and Theodore basically cut off all contact with her, except to tell her he was going to do a paternity test when the baby was born to confirm it was his before signing anything. Samantha didn't stay quiet, obviously. Like a week after the drama with Theodore, she posted a long post on Facebook where she basically painted me as the villain of the story. She said, I had taken revenge on her for our divorce, that I had lied to her fiancé about a private conversation, that I was using my money and my position as a doctor to control her. All lies mixed with half-truths to make me look bad and her like the victim. Several mutual friends believed her at first and sent me messages asking what had happened, and I decided I was fed up with her drama. I posted my own version of events on Facebook, without giving all the specific details, but explaining that she had come to ask me to sign as the father of a child that wasn't mine to benefit from my inheritance, and that I had informed Theodore because he deserved to know the truth. I included screenshots of some of the messages she had sent me afterwards, the ones that indirectly admitted what she had asked for, and basically let people draw their own conclusions. The post exploded, like I had like 100 comments in the first hours, and most people were on my side. Some of Samantha's friends tried to defend her, saying I was being cruel to a pregnant woman, but the evidence was pretty clear. Eventually, I deleted the post because I didn't want to continue with the public drama, but the damage to Samantha's reputation was already done. She lost several friends. Her family was apparently embarrassed about the whole thing, and she basically became a social pariah in our circle. Like 2 months passed, we were already in December, and Samantha asked to see Nathan for Christmas. I technically couldn't deny her the supervised visits that the judge had ordered. So I coordinated for her to come to my house one Saturday afternoon with my mom present as supervisor. She arrived looking tired. The pregnancy was clearly being hard on her, and she sat on the living room floor to play with Nathan for like an hour. I stayed in the kitchen giving them space but watching, and I noticed she was recording videos with her phone of her playing with Nathan, taking selfies with him, that kind of thing. I didn't think much about it at the time. I assumed she just wanted memories or photos to show him when he grew up. What I didn't know was that Samantha was using those photos and videos to manipulate Theodore. I found out later from an email he sent me, but basically she showed him the photos of Nathan and told him that I wouldn't let her see her son, that I was a controlling and abusive father, and that if he didn't marry her and help her financially, she was going to end up on the street without being able to see either of her children. Theodore apparently almost fell for the manipulation until he talked to his lawyer and realized the whole story didn't make sense. Like 2 weeks after that visit, I received an email from my lawyer saying that Samantha was trying to modify the custody agreement to have more time with Nathan, and I immediately requested that all visits be officially supervised at a court-designated visitation center, no more at my house. My lawyer argued that Samantha had demonstrated manipulative behavior and that we needed more protection for Nathan. In January of this year, right before Samantha gave birth, I received another email from my lawyer. Samantha had voluntarily signed papers, completely relinquishing custody of Nathan. Apparently, she had decided she couldn't handle being a single mother of 2 children without stable financial support, and that it was better for Nathan to stay with me permanently. I couldn't believe it, like this woman literally gave up her son, the son she had given birth to, because it was inconvenient for her. My lawyer told me this was unusual but legal, and that it basically meant I had total and complete custody without any obligation to give her visits, unless I wanted to. I signed all the necessary papers, and that was it. Nathan was completely mine legally and practically. Like 2 weeks later, Samantha's baby was born. I didn't hear anything directly from her, but I received an email from Theodore that surprised me quite a bit. He wrote me a long apology for all the drama, explained to me that he had done a paternity test immediately after the birth and that the baby was definitely his, and that now he completely understood why I had done what I did. He told me that Samantha had finally admitted that she knew the baby was his when she came to ask me to sign the birth certificate, that her whole story about Theodore having doubts was a lie, and that her plan had been literally to use my inheritance to live comfortably, while Theodore decided if he wanted to be with her or not. Theodore ended the email saying that he was going to sign the birth certificate as the father and pay child support because it was his responsibility, but that Samantha and he were never going to have a relationship, that she could raise the baby alone with his financial help, but nothing more. Basically, she had gotten what she wanted, a baby and money, but she had lost everything else. Her reputation, her friends, her family saw her differently, and the man she thought she was going to marry had completely rejected her. Now, like 6 months after all this, my life is pretty good, honestly. I finished all the legal processes of the inheritance, sold some of my uncle's properties that I didn't need, and kept others as investments, hired a financial advisor to manage the money intelligently, and basically have financial security for the rest of my life and for Nathan's. I'm still working as an oncologist because I love my job and don't want to leave it just because I have money, but now I can choose my hours, take more time off, and spend much more time with my son. Nathan is 2 years old now. He's healthy, happy, and has no memory of his mother because basically she left his life when he was too young. Samantha occasionally sends messages asking how he is. I respond with photos and short updates because legally I don't have to give her anything, but I also don't want to be completely cruel. But I've never allowed her to see him again after she gave up custody. Last week, Nathan and I were having breakfast together. He was eating his pancakes with his hands and getting honey all over his face. And he asked me where Mommy was because apparently he had seen other kids at the park with their moms. I told him that Mommy lived far away and couldn't visit us, and he looked at me with those big eyes and told me, "It's okay, you're enough for me, Daddy." It broke my heart and filled me with pride at the same time, because this kid is literally the best thing that came out of my marriage to Samantha. And although she decided he wasn't worth her time or effort, I'm planning to take Nathan on vacation to Disney this summer, something I can do now thanks to my uncle's inheritance. And honestly, I can't wait to see his little face when he sees Mickey Mouse for the first time. Samantha robbed me of years of peace of mind, made me doubt myself, hurt me in ways I'm still processing, but in the end she lost everything that mattered, and I gained the only thing that's really worth it, which is my son and the opportunity to be the father he deserves. I don't know what will happen to her in the future. If Theodore will keep sending money, if she'll find someone else who will put up with her. Honestly, I don't care. My life goes on, and it's better than I ever imagined it could be after all that hell.